Hello and welcome to today's video. So in this one we are going to be talking about some interesting Google Stadia news. First up we have the August Pro games that are coming across and they should be live as of today. But there's also been a really interesting jobs listing that's come out of Google about Stadia and it really hints at the future for this platform. So let's just get straight into the news and get going, shall we? So first up let's talk about the Pro games that are coming across for August, and this month we are seeing 5 titles. That's not to suggest that we might not see some later on, but the ones that have been announced as of right now are as follows. So first up we have Grime, which is coming as of August the 2nd. Now Grime is a side-scrolling RPG that seems to offer quite a unique visual style. It looks really interesting and it's going to be perfect for those of you who like that sort of side-scrolling action RPG. It's an indie title but it looks really visually interesting and we definitely can't wait to kind of have a bit of a go with this. So let us know in the comments, are you excited for Grime? It's one of those games that's risen a lot in popularity and already seems to have a bit of a cult following, so let's see how it turns out when we actually get our hands on it. So the games that are live on the service as of right now are as follows. So the first one up is Killer Queen Black, then there's Valkyria Chronicles 4, and then it came from Space and 8R Brains, and finally Epistory Typing Chronicles. Out of that list, the one that really stands out to me and has me excited is Valkyria Chronicles 4. I've not had a chance to play that game, but I really enjoyed playing the first one back on the PlayStation 3, I think it was. So very excited to be able to pick this up and play it on Google Stadia. So we'll have a video coming out about how that performs and how it runs and stuff like that as well. So make sure you hit subscribe so you can come along for that. So out of that list, what one is it that you're most looking forward to? Is it Valkyria Chronicles 4? Is it Grime? Is it Came from Space and 8R Brains? Let us know in the comments below because we'll be really interested to see which one you are most excited for. So that's it for the August Pro games. Unfortunately, there is still no sign of Ark Survival Evolved. That just seems to be one of those that occasionally seems to get name dropped, but we haven't really seen any actual official announcements for a very long time. And I know a lot of you in the comments have been talking about how you're kind of losing hope that you'll ever see it. Fingers crossed one day it will be there. Maybe it'll be next month's Pro game. Guess only time will tell. But moving on, let's talk about that really interesting jobs listing. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen a job listing that hints so much towards Google Stadia whitelisting their service. Now, what that means is basically using Google Stadia or the technology behind it to power other cloud gaming services and other services like this, which is really interesting for a number of reasons. So the jobs listing is a product manager for Stadia and it talks a lot about being able to whitelist a service and working with other developers and other companies as well to really flesh out that ecosystem. Now, one of the reasons why this is so interesting is that whenever we talk about Google Stadia, we always talk about the fact that their infrastructure and that back-end stuff is really good. When it comes to the cloud gaming side of things and that streaming quality, Google Stadia pretty much nails it. It's just some of the other stuff like bringing titles across to the service that might be a little bit lacking. So this is pretty exciting because ultimately if they can start to, I guess, rent out that service so you wouldn't necessarily see it's Google Stadia, it's something that's powered by Google Stadia, then that has some really big effects. Think about Ubisoft, for example, and they seem to be really big on Stadia. If they brought out a cloud gaming service, ultimately it'd be Ubisoft Cloud Gaming, but it's powered by Google Stadia. Now, to get their games running on that, they're going to have to get it running on the technology that uses Google Stadia. If Capcom then followed suit, or any of the other big developers and publishers that want to have their piece of the cloud gaming pie, then they could ultimately, instead of investing loads of money into their own service and hardware and all the infrastructure that goes into cloud gaming, they could rent out Google services and have a cloud gaming that's basically packaged and ready to go. They then bring their games across to that, it has to work on their platform, and fingers crossed to have it working on their new platform, would also work on Google Stadia. And obviously publishers like money and they want to have the games in many places where people can pick them up, and that means that fingers crossed they've moved across onto the Google Stadia store. So it's a very interesting future. Obviously, this is all just conjecture at the moment and anything could happen from this jobs listing, but it isn't the first time we've seen this. We've seen hints and talks about it in the past about using Google's infrastructure that powers Stadia and being able to use that with other companies as well. So it's not something that's just popped up on the radar, it is something that has been seen in the past, and Google have talked quite openly about wanting to do that and build out that infrastructure, make it available for other people to use and other companies to use. So a very interesting future if that starts to roll out and go ahead. And finally, the last bit of news is great for all of you people out there who like to bag yourself a little bit of a saving. So Google have finally permanently bundled their Google Chromecast with Android TV along with the Google Stadia controller. So there's now a new Play and Watch package that they do, which will get you a $20 saving. Not the biggest saving in the world, but ultimately it saves you having to buy those two things as separate packages. It has been on discount before as a bit of a package, however it was always done as a temporary discount. So it's nice to see that they've at least made it a permanent thing. So for new people coming across across to the service who don't have that hardware to play on the TV, if they don't have the controller already, they'll be able to pick up that bundled deal and get Stadia and Google TV. So it'll be very interesting to see how that performs, and fingers crossed we don't have to wait like 4 or 5 years for that hardware to become outdated before they update it again. But I guess we'll see. So that's it for our Google Stadia news this week. Some interesting titles launching, and we can't wait to play Valkyria Chronicles 4. Some really interesting hints at what might be coming for the future of Google Stadia's infrastructure and how it's going to work with other platforms and other partners. So can't wait to see how that turns out, and obviously a little bit of a deal there if people are looking for that as well. Let us know what you're most excited about for Google Stadia. Are you still playing the platform? Are you still enjoying it? Or have you moved across to something different instead? Always interested to hear your point of view in the comments down below. If you've got any questions as well, throw those down there whilst you're at it, and if you could do us all a massive favour and hit that like button, it just helps Google to show more people this video and gets this video's reach out there. So thank you very much for watching, and in the meantime, stay safe and we will see you soon. Bye.